Gather round, little dreamers, and let the whispers of history carry you to a land of long ago, to the vast and mighty Roman Empire. Tonight, our story isn't about gods or mythical beasts, but about a man as real as you and I, a man whose shadow stretched longer than any other, a true giant named Maximinus Thrax. So, close your eyes, get comfortable, and let's travel back in time. Our story begins not in the marble halls of Rome, but in the green, rolling hills of a place called Thrace, a land known for its strong horses and even stronger people. Here, under the wide open sky, a boy named Maximinus was born. He wasn't born a prince or a nobleman. His family was simple folk, shepherds and farmers who worked the land. From the very beginning, Maximinus was different. As a baby, he was bigger than the others. As a boy, he was taller. By the time he was a young man, he was a giant, towering over everyone in his village. They said he was over 8 feet tall, with hands so large he could use a warrior's bracelet as a thumb ring. But Maximinus was more than just big. He was incredibly strong. He could wrestle a wild bull to the ground and pull a heavy cart all by himself. His friends would watch in awe as he performed feats of strength that seemed impossible. Despite his immense power, Maximinus had a gentle heart. He was known for his quiet nature and his deep loyalty to his friends and family. He spent his days helping on the farm, his large hands surprisingly gentle with the lambs and his powerful arms making light work of any heavy task. One day, everything changed. The Roman Emperor, a man named Severus, was traveling through Thrace with his army. To celebrate his visit, he announced there would be military games, a chance for local men to show their strength and skill. Maximinus, encouraged by his friends, decided to enter. When he stepped into the arena, a hush fell over the crowd. They had never seen a man so colossal. The emperor's own soldiers, the best in the world, scoffed at this peasant giant. But their laughter soon turned to amazement. Maximinus moved with a speed and grace that defied his size. He out-wrestled every challenger, his strengths simply overwhelming. The Emperor Severus, a man who respected strength above all else, was deeply impressed. He called the young giant forward. "What is your name, son?" he asked. "Maximinus, sir," the young man replied, his voice deep and steady. The emperor smiled. "You have the heart of a lion and the strength of Hercules. I want you in my army. I want you in my personal guard." For Maximinus, this was a dream he had never dared to dream. To leave his simple life behind and become a Roman soldier, a protector of the emperor himself, was the greatest honor imaginable. He said goodbye to his family, promising to make them proud, and marched away with the legions. Life in the Roman army was hard, but Maximinus thrived. He was a natural soldier. He learned to march for miles under a hot sun, to fight with a sword and shield, and to live by the strict code of the legionary. His massive size and strength made him a fearsome warrior on the battlefield, but it was his courage and his unwavering loyalty that earned him the respect of his fellow soldiers. They called him Hercules and the Giant of Thrace. They knew that in any battle, with Maximinus by their side, they could not lose. He quickly rose through the ranks. From a simple foot soldier, he became a centurion, leading 100 men, then a tribune, then a commander of an entire legion. He fought in campaigns all across the empire, from the misty forests of Germania to the sun-scorched deserts of the east. In every battle, he led from the front, his giant frame a beacon of hope for his men and a terrifying sight for his enemies. He was not a general who sat in a tent looking at maps. He was a soldier who fought alongside his men, sharing their hardships and their victories. The soldiers loved him for it. He was one of them, a man who had started with nothing and earned his place through grit and courage. Years passed, emperors came and went. The once mighty Emperor Severus was gone, and his son, a young and inexperienced ruler named Alexander, now sat on the throne. Alexander was a good man, but he was not a soldier. He preferred books and philosophy to the battlefield. When new threats arose on the empire's northern borders, Alexander tried to solve the problem not with swords, but with gold. He wanted to pay the enemy tribes to go away. This decision angered the army. The soldiers, men like Maximinus, who had spent their lives fighting and bleeding for Rome, saw this as an act of weakness. They felt dishonored. They had a leader in their midst who they trusted, a man who understood them, a man who had risen from their own ranks, Maximinus Thrax. In a camp along the Rhine River, surrounded by the men he had led for so many years, a powerful chant began to rise. Maximinus, Maximinus for Emperor. The soldiers, the very heart of Rome's power, lifted their giant commander onto their shields and declared him their new emperor. Maximinus, the peasant boy from Thrace, was now the most powerful man in the world. He was the first of what historians would call the barracks emperors, emperors chosen not by birth or by politicians, but by the army itself. But the throne in Rome was not an easy chair to sit in, as Emperor Maximinus faced challenges from all sides. The wealthy senators in Rome looked down on him. They called him a barbarian, a commoner who had no right to rule. They whispered behind his back and plotted against him. But Maximinus was a soldier, not a politician. He didn't care for their fancy parties or their complicated games. He cared about protecting the empire. He spent nearly his entire reign on the frontiers, living in military camps, just as he had always done. He led his armies in person, pushing back the tribes that threatened Rome's borders. He was a whirlwind of energy, a tireless defender of the empire he now led. He won great victories, securing the frontiers and proving that a soldier's strength was what Rome truly needed. He lived simply, ate the same food as his soldiers, and slept in a tent. He never even set foot in the city of Rome as emperor, feeling more at home among his legions than in a palace. His rule was a time of constant struggle. The senators in Rome, resentful of his power, declared him an enemy of the state and raised their own emperors to challenge him. Maximinus, the old warrior, had to turn his army not against foreign enemies, but against his own people. It was a sad and difficult time. He marched his army toward Italy, toward Rome, to face his rivals. His journey was long and hard. The giant who had once seemed invincible was now tired. The weight of the empire was heavier than any cart he had ever pulled. As his army laid siege to a city in northern Italy, the soldiers grew weary. The war was long, and their loyalty began to waver. In the quiet of the night, a terrible thing happened. The very soldiers who had raised him up, who had loved him as a commander, turned against him. The giant fell, not in a glorious battle against a foreign foe, but in his own camp, betrayed by his own men. And so, the story of Maximinus Thrax, the peasant giant who became an emperor, came to an end. It is a story of incredible strength and a reminder that greatness can come from the humblest of beginnings. Maximinus rose higher than anyone could have imagined, from a dusty field in Thrace to the very pinnacle of power. He was a true soldier, loyal to his men and dedicated to the empire he served. Though his reign was short and ended in sorrow, his story echoes through history, the tale of the giant who carried an empire on his shoulders. Now, as the story fades, let the image of the giant Maximinus fill your dreams. Dream of his strength, his courage, and his incredible journey. Feel the peace of the quiet fields where he was born, and the strength of the mountains he crossed. Let the whispers of the past be a gentle lullaby, guiding you into a deep and restful sleep. Sleep now, little dreamer, sleep well. The giant of Rome is watching over your dreams tonight. Good night.